Hi, I'm Ben. I'm going to do a little run through of Native Instruments Komplete Kontrol, including the MIDI controller. So, first of all, let's load our Komplete Kontrol. So, for anybody that doesn't know, Native Instruments, package of software instruments and plugins, individual units. Komplete Kontrol pulls them all together and has one control surface that allows you to manipulate multiple parameters. So we're going to get into this. So first of all, let's have a little look. This is our interface. So nice and simple. Obviously the name over on the left hand side. We've got a filter section for all of the instruments, all of the elements that are part of the Native Instruments library that you might already have. We can look at instruments, we can look at loops, and we can look at one-shots. We can then use the filters to reduce down the list of results so that we find something that we want to use. Now, the first thing that we need to do is we need to set that up. So if we go File, Edit Preferences, and then we've got Library. If this is the first time that you're using this, this will most probably be empty. So if you hit rescan, it will then search for all of the Native Instruments and other third-party libraries that are part of or that will work with Komplete Kontrol. We can also do this for our plugins as well, so that we can utilize some of these within the Komplete Kontrol unit. Again, if they're not showing up, then hit rescan. That will put all of the plugins into a nice list that you can then access from the Komplete Kontrol surface. So let's find something that's going to add with this. So I'll just let you know what I've got already. So I've just got basic drum pattern, a little bit of bass, and a kind of emotive rolling synth chord progression. So with this, we need a top layer. So let's have a look. Let's try synth lead. And then I like descriptor of analog. And let's have a little look at the results. So I can't really see many of them that are there. So if I press characters and types, we can get to that list and have a little look through here. So clicking through them, a little bit clunky. So let's just find something and then I'll show you a different way of navigating through this. I'm going to use that. So double click. I'm going to use that. That's kind of nice. Let's use that. Sea Creature. Now this is a third party manufacturer. This is Output and this is Substance, which is normally used for bass. But if we obviously move our octave up, then it's kind of the right tone. It's the right kind of sound that's going to fit with this. So I'm just going to hit V, hide that just for a second, just so that I can try and work out something to play with this. That's nice. I'm just going to go with that. So let's hit record. I'm just gonna give it a little name. So this is my C monster lead. And I'm just going to copy that name across, which is Alt, Shift, and N. There we go. Right. Or C creature, sorry, it's not C monster. Right. I want to go back and just show this navigation menu. So let's just open a new Complete Control. So again, I press the plus. It's already selected there. I'm going to hit Create. This time, rather than using the keyboard and mouse, I'm going to navigate and pick my sound all from the Native Instruments controllers. So if I come back to my controller now, okay, so I'm going to add my Complete Control, press Create. On the keyboard, I'm going to press Plugin, which connects the MIDI controller to the browser section, and then I can press Browser, and then I can start to use the up and down arrow and the rotation wheel to cycle through some of the options. So I can choose whether I want the instruments, loops, or one-shots. So I'm going to go Instruments, and I'm just going to push the button in. It then moves down to this section, which is the instruments, and I can actually cycle through the individual instruments, which is, in some respects, quite useful if you know what you want. Now I want some brass. I want to use the sound like brass, so I'm going to press a button there. It's now going to let me choose what type of sound I want. So obviously I want brass, so I'm going to press that. Some of them have a sub-menu. So I've now been given the option of ensemble, French horn, synth, trumpet. I'm actually going to go see what comes out in French horn. You can see we've got only 4 items in the list. I don't necessarily have to use one of these. Let's go airy. You will now have results written up here, and if I scroll up and down, it will preview our note. So I'm going to go for top. I like that. So I'm going to hit the big dial, and that will load our instrument. Okay, there we go. Now I can play. It's almost a little bit messy. So let's get into the next little bit of this now. So across the top here, we have this little button. Now this little button is our macro controls. So the macro controls, this is the section I really wanted to talk about. This is these 8 dials that are across the top of the Native Instruments control keyboards. Now these are not MIDI controls, so you can't assign these like normal MIDI controllers with their dials. These are macro controls which are within the Complete Control surface. They are linked to different elements within our track. So you can actually see what they're labeled to across the top. So for the first page, it's saying layer A, layer B macros. And if I move the dial, we'll see the controls that it is actually linked to. So we've got one that's going for the attack. We've got one that's going for tone. We've got one that's motion, and one that is the reverb. Okay. We've then got an on and off for layer A. We've got an on and off for layer B, and we've got volume for each one. If I then press the S, the arrow button, that moves across to the next page of macros. So you can see that there is actually only 7 in this one. And then if I go across to again, then I'm on the 3rd page of macros. So this is all about rhythm. So let's go back to the first layer. So whilst playing this, I could manipulate the reverb. So if I hold my note, or I can adjust my tone. So let's reduce this. Okay, so all I'm going to do, record that chord, and then that chord, but I'm going to move the tone and I'm going to move the wet control for the reverb that's on it, and record those into my part. So I'm going to go automation control, go latch, make sure the channel is armed. I know what I'm playing. I'm going to hit R for record, and then I'm going to make my move. Put it back into read. Let's just check that it's recording my automation. So if I press A, I've opened the automation. If I press the little arrow, it opens these separate lanes down, and I can see the two moves that I made, one on macro 2, one on macro 4. I used macro 2 and macro 4. So I can obviously tidy these lines up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hide my complete. I'm going to label this brass. I'm going to relabel my region, Alt Shift and N. I am then going to make sure that this loops. So it's the right length, and let's have it going. Oops. Have it going that long, and then let's just shorten this, just so that we have a bit of continuity. There we go. So press play. I'm going to keep this open. So that was a little overview, just quickly, of the Native Instruments Control, how to use Komplete Control, scanning the library to make sure that everything is accessible, using the macro controls, and selecting an instrument so that you can work with it within your session.